Everyone, meet banned from Google. Wait, sorry, it's not spelled like that. Give me a sec. No, maybe? No. Oh, okay, there we go. Now, this little RuneScapist, commonly shortened to Scapist by the community, doesn't have much. As a new, almost completely blind account, he has no information, no skills, no money, no friends. He's a loser, a freak. He's kind of ugly. He's an abnormally shaped little troglodyte. Turn that arrow down, please. No, turn it down. Thank you. And worst of all, his Lenovo Chromebook 14 Plus with MediaTek Companion Ultra 910 processor only came with the Jagex launcher and Discord installed. And in case the name didn't clue you in, this guy apparently made one too many potentially dangerous searches and is now banned from anything Google. .com, YouTube, even anything Chromium. This guy can't even install Opera GX titty mods. In fact, if you were trying to explain the concept of this video in a non-convoluted direct way, you could even say that we're doing a run of RuneScape where we're not allowed to use the internet in any capacity to look up information that you may need to progress in the game. I personally probably wouldn't phrase it like that though, I don't think. So for this run, we're either going to be figuring things out with whatever Jagex is willing to provide us in game, or relying on other Scapists to not constantly feed us misinformation. Which, I don't know anything about the RuneScape community in particular, but if they're anything like the internet at large, this is going to end very poorly. And because I can't feel joy without a sword of Damocles constantly swinging over my head, we are going to be making this account a hardcore Iron Man, where we only have one life to see how far we go. Oh, and also we're like not allowed to trade items or whatever, but that was kind of inevitable anyway. I would have ran a scam in Lumbridge day one and gotten banned immediately. This is just kind of streamlining the process. So grab yourself a snack and a glass of orange juice and try not to reach through the screen to point stuff out. That's illegal. You're considered an internet source, because without further ado, here we go. Welcome to the Blind Hardcore Iron Man. Just like any other account, we start out on Tutorial Island, where we're taught all of the basics. You know, cooking, eating yellow paint, mortgage-backed securities, other stuff, I'm sure. I'm gonna be honest, I was not paying attention that much. I'm only really looking out for one guy at the moment, and he's not on screen right now. So while we wait for him to show up, let's talk about goals. Jagex recently released this chart, which shows all of the bosses sorted by exactly when they should be fought. And this is going to be acting as a basic outline of our pathing through the game. As for where it's ending, it's right here. Why? Peer pressure, I guess. It's apparently where all the cool kids end their challenge runs, so now I'm doing it too. Same reason I started doing meth. So eventually, we'll be working our way up this boss ladder all the way until we're able to reach the ultimate chimera and climb on his back and hit the giant red button that kills him and makes him die and kills him. But for now, we're gonna start pretty slow and just aim to get one kill on any of these first beginner bosses. But we're gonna have to worry about which one later, because that guy I was talking about just showed up. Which means that it's time to cement our account status.
Adventurer, I have come to provide you with a choice. Among those who enter the realm of Gilnor, most seek comfort. They feast. They thrive. They fall to mortal wounds, yet rise again as though death were a mere inconvenience. But among them exist a select few. Those who refuse to indulge in the comfort of another's hand. Those who claw every victory alone from the cruel hands of fate or never claim it at all. Those whose lives...
Hey, sorry, I don't really have time for any of this. Can you just make me a hardcore Iron Man, please?
Of course. It is done.
Cool, thanks. And can you just check my Iron Man status real quick?
Of course.
Cool, perfect, thank you. I'll get going now. Actually, can you check my Iron Man status one more time, just to be sure?
Of course.
All right, thanks, bye. But just to be 100% positive. Okay, sorry, bye. So after checking my hardcore status only maybe like 4 or 5 more times, we're ready to talk to the magic tutor, grab some rocks, and enter Lumbridge. This is where we can safely train all of those skills we just learned about. There's men and women to pickpocket, fish to catch, ores to mine, asshole rats that gank you on the way to the last 2, and like goblin. Like maybe 2 goblin. Yeah, that looks about right, yeah. There's quests, there's shops, there's so much to do that I have no clue where to start. I know that there's specific things that I need in order to beat bosses. I know I need good food for healing, 43 prayer because one of my friends told me that that was important, and I need combat stats so that I can actually hit the things. But in terms of how to best get those stats, when I'm ready, where the bosses are, what I need to get to them, hell, even what most of their names are, I'm lost. I basically just spent the first couple days flailing around Lumbridge doing whatever showed up in front of me and always repeatedly ending up back in the potato pit for some reason, but I didn't really feel like I was going anywhere. I was gonna need to start asking for help pretty quick. Luckily for me though, help was about to fall directly into my hands.
This is Faison. I convinced him to try doing this run with me, and he ended up agreeing for some godforsaken reason. He started up his own blind hardcore Iron Man, logged on, and ended up quitting in like a day. He's not actually super important here. However, when he was setting up to play, he got one of his friends on a Discord call to talk through the starting phase. So, I'd like you to meet Jad, short for Jadathan. He has probably like 1 billion hours in the game, most of them on an Iron Man. So he knows ball. He's like the Isaac Newton of virginity, or annoying orange or something, I don't know. So with an infinite source of knowledge in front of me, I got the chance to ask a lot of questions, and I got way more answers than I was expecting. First off, these two bosses right here, they're not real bosses. They don't do damage, they don't count anymore. Turn them pink. Editor, turn them pink. They're technically quote-unquote skilling bosses, meaning they require a certain level and a certain non-combat stat, fishing and fire making respectively, in order to fight. However, coincidentally, they're also really good for grinding resources, which makes them a great target for early in an account's lifespan. Also coincidentally, one of them is like 10 GP in a fishing boat away. Don't think it, don't say it, don't think it, don't say it, don't think it, don't say it, don't. Which makes this guy in particular, Tempoross, the perfect first target for us to start heading for. Fishing is generally just a really good skill to train because basically all of the best food options are locked behind it. And the boss also drops a lot of fish, which gives us something to cook, which helps us raise our cooking level, which we also need for top tier food. On top of that, there's also apparently ways to cheat prayer XP. The best one is some altar in the wilderness, so I was planning on routing for that until Jad informed me that the wilderness is open PvP. So the wilderness altar is officially off the list. Our next best options are either the bone altar or the ectofunctus. I don't really know what either of those two mean, but Jad said that the bone altar was cooler, so we're doing that one. Also, just a general warning, I'm sure that the bone altar has like an official name, but I'm probably never going to figure out what it is, and that is going to be a common theme throughout this video, so just consider this your one and only warning. So now with two of my general requirements for bossing set up, it's time to take action. Let's fish. Over the next few hours of fishing, me and Jad made a basic 3-step outline to get me to my first boss. Not enough to cheese through everything, but enough to where I finally felt like I had a path forward. And all that's left to do now is execute. Eventually, I took a charter ship out to this little fishing village called Catherby off of Jad's recommendation, and then he announced that he had to get off for the night, leaving me alone to fish for the final levels to get to 35. And honestly, it was kind of peaceful. It was nice to just be able to sit there and enjoy the quiet of it all, because I knew that this kind of peace isn't gonna last forever. Sooner or later, I'll have to face danger head on. I'll have to walk into bosses that could one-hit me for all I know. And I need to have the confidence to know that I can learn their attacks and beat them without ever dying. But for now, I'm just gonna enjoy this moment of peace. I'm banned from Google with RS News, here to report on the weather here at Tempoross Beach, and things are looking pretty bad. There seems to be a guy coming out of the water, don't know who he is though. The storms are blowing me hard and everything is on fire. Also, if there are any RuneScape babes / goddesses out there looking for a RuneScape, this is Tempoross, commonly referred to as Ross. He's a giant pile of fish, I think. Or he might just be like the entire entity. I don't know if this is a Krang situation or if it's like a Pacific Rim deal where Tempoross is the Jaeger, which makes me the water monster. Which feels like a kind of counterintuitive metaphor. Luckily, killing him is pretty simple. You catch the fish, you cook the fish, you put him in a cannon. Then when he gets stunned from his belly getting big and full and round from eating too many fish, everybody gathers together and stabs him until he goes away. And congratulations, you beat Tempoross. Here's your $120 check. Come back tomorrow for 720 mode. It all sounds pretty simple when I say it like that, but thank God I had Jad with me because I don't think I would have figured out all the little stuff that I had to bring. Like cooking the food and shoving it in the box is easy, but the fire you need to bring buckets for, the wind that eats your hammer if you don't have a rope, the hammer I just mentioned for something, I don't know, I haven't had to use it yet, but all of that would have been very difficult to figure it out. Luckily though, with Jad telling me how everything worked, I only had to lose my fish like twice instead of 50 times. So instead, I just got to work on optimizing my movement, which with so many people around, all I had to do was break out my chair and participate in a little bit of voyeurism until I felt ready to copy them. That's how I found out that the most optimal move is to catch like 6 or
8 fish, then run them over to the oven to cook, which makes it so that right after you finish cooking, the double fishing spot with the double fish pops up. And this strategy of just like waiting for someone to show up and do the thing that I want to do is going to be a very important tech skill throughout the course of this run. Unsurprisingly, people that are able to look up how to do something are going to be much better at doing it than I'm going to be able to. So when it comes to stuff like safe spots or strategies, it's a lot better to just watch someone else do it than to try to figure it out myself. Back to Tempoross though, the reward system is based on how well you do, getting a certain number of rewards based on how many points you get in the minigame. And I was getting like 2, which according to the chat is the absolute minimum. We got a lot of work to do. But eventually I started learning. I got to 3 and I started feeling the optimization. I could like see the best routes. Then I got up to 4 until all of a sudden it clicked. I had been playing the Tempoross minigame for so long that I had gotten what is colloquially referred to as a nerd log, and I am now 53 fishing when I plan to stop at 40. Oops. But it's fine. It's cool. We now have the fishing levels and the food that we need to get the cooking levels to carry out my secret master food plan.
So that's the first item on my arbitrary list of things that I need before boss fights cleared. As for item number 2, combat stats, they're mostly going to get trained while I'm training prayer, but there are a couple material requirements that we do need to hit first. Magic in RuneScape unfortunately always costs runes, hence the name. And because I wanted to use magic as my main source of damage, because you know I'm Shadow Wizard Money Gang, legalize nuclear bombs and such, we're gonna need a way to source runes. Luckily, that's where step 2.1-A subsection C of the 4-step plan comes in. Chad told me about a bunch of different minigames when we were talking about the most optimal ways to train an early account, one of the best ones being Guardians of the Rift, as it's basically the only way to handle rune crafting as a skill. But if we want to get in on the rift guarding, we're gonna have to do a couple quests first. The first one is called Rune Mysteries, which I happen to already do on my first couple days of random bullshit because I am literally tasked. The next one, however, starts by talking to a guy in the wilderness. You know, that PvP area where people like kill and murder you and stuff? Yeah, he's in there. So it's time to take my first major risk. I installed a mod that notifies me via attempted seizure every time that someone comes nearby, and took my first steps into the wilderness. Is he on the mountain? Are you on the mountain? Is that him? Hello? Are you the guy? Please be the guy. Okay, we're good. Go, 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 go. Out, out, out. And we're safe. Oh my god, I felt like I was having a realistic vision of a heart attack. I never want to do that again. Oh my fucking god. Now we just need to charge a JO crystal, get some tea, solve some complex calculus, and we finally have access to Guardians of the Rift. The first time you enter, you go through a tutorial version of the minigame. You get like some lore implications, and then this lady, Person, who's been helping you through the past like 40 minutes of questing to get here, by the way, opens up a door to Kingdom Hearts and just fucking dies. She dies, she's dead, she does not come back. I have tried looking for her, she is gone. Also, there is now a giant rift to the abyss, like the nightmare dimension that demons come from and stuff, and now we have to help this rock guy that just materialized from the ether to close it. We go mine fragments off of the bodies of the rock guy's dead friends, and then use them for little rune arts and crafts projects that we can charge at one of these 11 altars. Then we feed this combination of charged dead friend particles, blank runes, and super glue to the center guardian until his belly gets so full that he blows up and destroys the rift. Terrorist win. So that's the basics of winning, but there's also a whole not dying part of the minigame that we need to interact with. By the entrance, you can pick up these cells. You fill them once per altar visit. Cells. They're used to charge up the barriers. Cells. They're used to interlink the baby guardians. Interlinked. Why don't you say this 3 times? Incels are into twinks. Incels are into twinks. So to visit a specific altar, you have to touch its correlating shrine. The shrines activate 2 at a time and cycle through every minute. However, in order to actually enter, you have to have the capability to craft the runes in the first place, which for most rune types, it just means reaching a certain rune crafting level, but for one specific type, it takes a little bit more. These are law runes. They're the catalyst runes that are used for basically every single teleport spell in the game, probably. With them and the high enough magic level, it can take these 10 to 15 minute journeys across the map that you haven't seen, but I have definitely felt, and replace them with a quick click of a button. They're in very short supply though. No shop that I've seen sells them, and the only ones that I've gotten have been from Guardians rewards, which I am not getting very often. In order to craft them, we need 54 rune crafting, which, like, I'm working on it, give me a sec, but I also need to complete a quest called Troll Stronghold, which, from what I understand, is an incredibly dangerous quest that you need 43 prayer for. So now we have a new sort of in-between goal. Before getting to my first boss, I want to beat Troll Stronghold and gain the ability to craft law runes, so that I can stop walking around White Wolf Mountain, because oh my fucking god, I have lost so much time to White Wolf Mountain. But law runes are decently far away. For now, I have some Guardians to grind. I ended up getting up to 54 rune crafting and also accidentally got to like 39 regular crafting over the course of about 3 days. I spent a really long time trying to carry a bot lobby by just spamming guardian crafting, which kind of set off a light bulb in my head, but we're gonna have to store that one for later. Also, we now have the resources that we need to get the bones, which means that there's only 3 more steps until we actually get to the end of step 2. Yay! So in order to get to that bone altar I was talking about, there's actually another couple quests that we have to do. This is gonna become a theme. The first one's out in Varrock. It's called Children of the Sun. Pretty simple. We just have to intervene on this gaggle of dunderheads attempting to assassinate a prince. And then that prince decides that actually, you know what? We're kind of chill. So he gives us access to his kingdom, Varlamore. From there, we're sent out with the prince's seal on orders to gather all of his Sun Knights.
Oh, Dark Souls reference. Points at screen. Dark Souls reference.
Because one of them is probably responsible for that whole assassination attempt thing. Unfortunately, they all don't seem to care that you're handing out orders from the prince though, so instead you have to do various little dances to get them to move. These include stealing jewelry, stealing weapons, fighting in gladiatorial combat. This is bad. When it comes to combat, I am still a measly little goblin, and this guy has his level up shirt equipped at all times. But at this point, I've come so far that I really don't feel like backing out and grinding combat stats. And slightly less importantly, if I'm being honest, I wanted to prove to myself that I had what it took to fight bosses in hardcore. Because in case you forgot, it hasn't really come up any time in the past 10 minutes, but this is still hardcore. If I die here, run's over. So with my 3 law runes, I have 3 safe attempts to get this fight done. Let's do this. Attempt 1, not a good start. I had it set so I had to right click to attack enemies higher level than me, so it was immediately a wash. On to round 2. This one went slightly better. I actually got an attack in this time, which means that we're officially allowed to engage with the mechanics of the fight. But because I'm a fat little chuddy with very limited agility, I ended up running out of sprint before he ran out of health, so I dipped to play it safe, which left me with 1 attempt to get my win, which went insanely smoothly if I'm being honest. As soon as I had figured out how to stop charging directly into a sword and just walk slightly faster than the guy wearing full plate mail, it wasn't too bad. For my first really dangerous fight, other than that fuck-ass rat that almost killed me on day 1, we don't talk about him, actually being able to get over the nerves and beat this guy filled me with a lot of confidence that maybe this run could go somewhere. But after our win, we get to watch the juicy royal drama as we finally find evidence of the traitor. Whoa. So then, the traitor gets suddenly executed by this guy. Whoa. But actually, the evidence was faked by the guy who did the execution. Whoa. So then, we go to find the prince, but it turns out he's getting assassination attempted again. Whoa. Oh. 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 So after clearing all that up, I can now not care about any of this for assumedly a very long time, because the altar that I need is right there. Isla, I know your dad's like bleeding out on the floor and stuff, but I'm just gonna assume you got this one, right? Yeah, you got this one. I'm gonna go over there. You have fun with the whole dad thing. So this altar is mechanically pretty simple. You get an inventory of bones, you go up to bless them on the altar, you see the level 30 requirement, you get confused for a solid 3 seconds until you actually process the words on your screen, you go back to the drawing board. Epic! Luckily, this questline isn't entirely a waste, because Varlamore is also the only place with access to sweet corn, which means that now I can finally unveil the secret food master plan. On day 1, I was scrolling through the food options because, my tummy was just so rumbly, when I happened to stumble upon the humble tuna potato. It heals 22 HP, which is comparable to some of the best food options in the game, but for some reason only requires 47 cooking, which makes it an insanely broken option. So broken, in fact, that I have been routing most of my game around them. Remember those potatoes from earlier? Yeah, those were planned out for this exact moment. And now, the plan can finally come together. However, I went to craft one, and I wasn't able to. At which point I checked the requirement again, and somehow the number had magically changed from 47 to 68. I honestly have no clue when this happened, or even if this happened, or if I've just been gaslighting myself this entire time, but Jagex has taken a steel chair to the back of my head for daring to plan ahead. Ow. And now I have to reconsider everything. For food, I've decided on the strategy of giving up. The fish that I have are good enough for my current health pool, and I officially don't care anymore. Prayer, however, is a different story. I have to get to 43 prayer before we can do anything dangerous, as apparently the entire combat system revolves around these 3 prayers. So we need to get from 13 to 30 so that I can use the bone altar, and then from there it'll be pretty easy to get to 43. Unfortunately, we're out of prayer training options. I thought there was Ectofunctus, but Ectofunctus is in Mortania, which is locked behind 40 prayer. So there's actually just nothing. We have to raw dog burying bones. But there is a little bonus that can help to speed up the process. I was scrolling through this chart of prayer XP amounts for different bones in Runelight, and yes, for the nerds who care, I am allowing the use of some Runelight plugins. Here's all the ones that I'm using. But as I was scrolling through, I saw a bunch of decapitated heads, which seemed odd. But then I remembered that Jad had brought up a dark altar, which is like a regular altar, but like dark and evil and Shadow the Hedgehog, that acts as a little bonus while grinding bones. And I had happened to run into this Shadow the Hedgehog altar during a different quest that I had done when I got bored of Guardians and wanted to go poke at stuff to see if it would kill me. This altar doesn't use bones. Instead, you can take those decapitated heads to it and use a spell that lets you revive them for the express purpose of murdering them in cold blood a second time, which gives prayer XP for some reason. That meant that I could just farm mobs that drop these insult heads and get a little bonus XP every once in a while during the construction of my future Oops All Femurs archaeological dig site. So I tested all of the mobs with head drops that I had seen and ended up finding the most efficiency with these grizzly bears. The XP to drop ratio was pretty decent, and there was a safe spot where I could kill like 3 of them while I go on iPhone and watch people explode on Instagram Reels. So 2 days, 200 bears, and several failed post-mortal vengeance plots later, and we're at 30 prayer. Detour over, we can now go back to plan A. In my first conversation with Jad, he had warned me that for any of these bone jelking techniques that multiply your XP drops, I should probably use big bones, which mainly drop from giants. I've only ever seen 2 giant spawns though, and neither really alleviate my YouTube onset fear of being squished like a bug, so I entered a state of deep thought. Giant frog. Giant. Frog. Bones. Giant frog. Big bones? And the devs agreed with that logic, which means that now I have my grinder for big bones. And for those of you who are wondering how I already had some combat levels before starting Children of the Sun, it was just this. I've fought almost exclusively amphibians for the past 10 days straight. These frogs are perfect for death avoidant individuals as they have low health, low damage, and there's even a little thingy on the ground here that lets you safe spot 2 of them. So with 500 bones to go, excuse me for a moment as I go Alex Jones on the air staff, because I'm going to be blowing all these frogs so hard they turn gay. That's it. That's all the requirements I had set out. It's time to head up to the land of the trolls, unlock law runes, and we'll be all set to take on our first boss of the run.
So in order to get access to Troll Stronghold, we need to do, and say it with me now, another couple quests. Except this time it's actually only just one. It's called Death Plateau. It's a nice and easy one. You just go to protest to lower the draft age so that this guy's son can go to war, which immediately results in said son getting kidnapped by trolls. And now in Troll Stronghold, we need to unconsequence our actions and help the child POW crawl through the poop tunnel so that he can get out of there. And real quick, I just need to address the Quest Helper allegations. Quest Helper is an add-on in Runelight that explains the steps necessary to beat quests that I've been using for the past couple days whenever I get stuck. And is it kind of a gray area to use Quest Helper in terms of not using the internet? Yeah, sure, sue me. But A, it's built into Runelight. I'm not Googling anything. And B, I got tilted when I tried doing Dig Site and it took me 2 hours because I tried making a bomb with the ingredients in my inventory, but I wasn't allowed to make it until some random chuckle nut told me that the ingredients in my inventory were the ingredients in my inventory. So I installed it for time-saving purposes. I promise I'm trying not to rely on it too much, and after this point I pretty much only use it whenever I get stuck for long enough that a quest becomes a multi-hour experience, but here it might give me a little bit of a hint that I probably shouldn't have had. So just consider yourself warned. And now, with that fourth wall break explanation out of the way, I begin my walk up the cliff into the first truly dangerous area that I'd have to interact with. The death warning popping up definitely shook me a bit, but I had spent the past 2 weeks preparing for this moment. And also, Quest Helper had unfortunately told me that there was a safe spot right inside the gate for this first fight. So, I walked into the arena, shoved myself into the corner by the gate like Quest Helper said, and talked to Dad to start the fight. I've never really been the type of person that responds well to pressure. When plans inevitably fail and things go bad and you just need to do anything to get out, I always find myself overthinking to the point where I'm just too afraid to act.
Even when the solution is as easy as one button that I had set up in preparation for this exact moment, I just can't do it. I sit there and watch as everything falls apart. And thus came the end of account number 1. To this fucking music of all things.
So, because I wanted to beat Jad as a hardcore Iron Man, all that's left to do is pack it up, make a new account, and start again. Unfortunately, due mostly to my own greed, getting back to Troll Stronghold was not going to be a smooth experience.
Account 2, tried going for the Wilderness Altar, got killed. Account 3, went for the Wilderness Altar, succeeded. Then I tried going for Wintertop, was misinformed on the cold mechanic, got killed. Account 4, went for the Wilderness Altar. You already know how this goes.
So at this point, I'm on full tilt. I've lost 4 accounts over the course of about 200 hours of playtime. And I'm sitting here thinking, if I am so hard stuck in the early game, how exactly am I going to be able to beat something that actual RuneScape players consider to be a real accolade? Like, the whole journey is feeling kind of hopeless, and I was about ready to quit.
But Jad had said something during my frog grind on attempt 4 that really got me thinking. After just dying to Wintertot, I was complaining about the fact that I was now doomed to another 6 hours in the frog pit, which Jad responded to with not too bad. And at first, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of tilted. Like, 6 hours is a lot of time to do the same thing over and over again, in my opinion. But I realized he should be right.
Because at the end of the day, this is RuneScape. This is the game. 6-hour grinds like this are just the default experience. And if something as easy as this is already getting under my skin, how exactly am I going to be able to perform later on when there's dozens of grinds just like this one promising to come back to haunt me every time I die? I guess what I'm trying to say is, both mentally and mechanically, I suck ass as a RuneScape player. I spent 200 hours and I'm still just as bad and stupid as I was on day 1. And even though I was ready to quit, something about saying that sentence in my head to myself just kind of pissed me off.
I came in knowing that this was going to be painful, and that any chance of success was basically just a rounding error. And something about quitting after facing that cruelty for the first time, still basically the same guy that I was a month and a half ago, just doesn't feel right. So I'm giving this one more attempt. Same rules as the last 4, but no more name bit. I'm using my own name, and just taking this account as far as I can before I inevitably get another shift at the ball crushing factory.
So Iron Man Tutor, give me that title one last time. And one more thing. Can you check my hardcore status real quick? In the past 2 months, I've thought a lot about run optimization, so real quick, since it's the last attempt, we'll run through everything top to bottom. Landing in Lumbridge, we immediately run over to the nearest set of pockets we can rummage through and start digging for gold until we get to 5 Thieving, where we then head over to Arduine, stopping by the Wizard Tower for room mysteries and the Falador rooftops for extra agility along the way. Once we get to Arduine, we continue practicing our stealing on baked goods until we're finally a high enough level to start stealing our real moneymaker, Silk. Silk is normally pretty useless, but there's a specific merchant that's willing to buy it for up to 60 gold apiece. Unfortunately, that merchant has been watching us steal from his stall for the past hour. So we gotta wait a bit for his prosopagnosia to kick in before we can actually cash out. We spend that bit finishing up rune mysteries, mining rune essence, and getting our rune crafting to 10 so that whenever we feel like it, we can go and do the Guardians of the Rift quest. By now, the Silk guy has officially forgiven and forgotten, emphasis on the latter, so he's willing to pay us for all of that silk that we stole from him. We then use that money to buy an air staff and enough mined runes to kill approximately 1,111 giant frogs. And you'll never guess what happens next. With our 1,111 newly acquired big bones of mysterious origin, we go and do Priest in Peril, a quest that doesn't require 40 prayer, by the way. I don't know where I got that idea from, which unlocks Mauritania, which gives us access to the last option for enhanced prayer training, the Ectofunctus, which I'm not going to explain because it's way too complicated. So we funk out our ectoplasm till we hit 30 prayer, at which point I go back to Varlamori prayer training because the Ectofunctus is insanely slow. And after a little bit of bone smashing and a couple feeding sessions on Tempoross, we're basically caught up to where we were. So now for the new stuff. First off, you might have noticed that the UI is bigger. If you enjoy being able to see, thanks to Rando, who not only fixed my UI scaling, but also taught me about the Chronicle, which is just a strictly better option for TPing out of fights than Law Runes. He also gave me the last piece of warm clothing that I needed for Wintertot and taught me a bunch of other stuff that I would never have figured out myself. To make good use of this info, I got the fire making I needed for Wintertot, then remembered that I don't like doing Wintertot, so I just went back to Ross. Also, for Guardians, I kind of took the scenic route there this time because I wanted to get to 57 agility before I went. This lets you take the shortcut down to the big rocks, which make you mine faster. And finally, I did a lot more quests on this account. Some that Jad had told me to do because it unlocks cool stuff, some that gave me levels and stats that I needed, and some that I just kind of wanted to check out, you know?
I have to push the boulder up the hill anyway, so might as well enjoy the walk up there. But eventually, all that fun needs to come to an end. We have to climb back up that mountain and face Dad one more time. So here's our new dad strategy. Step 1, we wait. Then someone else comes in and kills him using the safe spot, and then I just copied them. That's literally all I needed to do. I could have saved us a full month just by doing that. Awesome, moving on. Next, we're presented with a choose your own adventure, where we can either climb a small hill or get stoned to death. So it's like a telltale choose your own adventure. And now all that stands between us and the stronghold entrance is approximately 1 death squad worth of trolls. Now, I've talked about 3 particular prayers a couple of times because they were, one of my main goals for the account, but I haven't yet explained what they do. So for the tiny percentage of people that have gotten this far without knowing anything about RuneScape, thank you for making it here, by the way, these are protection prayers. They block all damage of a specific type, melee, ranged, and magic respectively. So yes, for those of you who didn't know, I had access to a button that makes Dad deal 0 damage, and I could have hit it before the fight started and had it on the entire time that the fight was happening. No further questions, please. Now, you can only keep 1 of these on at a time, which is fine here because the trolls only know melee, but more importantly, having it up drains prayer, meaning that right now we can only have it up for roughly 2 minutes max, which is a problem because I trundle far too much to get this quest done in 2 minutes. But there's a trick you can use to make that 2 minutes last indefinitely. Blue chew. Sorry, prayer flicking. The practice of turning your prayer on and off every game tick. It can make you essentially immortal, but 1 slip up against a high damage enemy and you're getting turned into juice. But I've been practicing quite a bit, using a little technique that Rando taught me. It turns out that the tick rate for RuneScape is actually the same as the BPM for Sea Shanty 2, which means all you have to do is tap twice to the beat and you're effectively immortal forever. We safely walk into the stronghold, trundle around for a couple minutes until we find a spot that we can open the map, and finally spot the last danger left in the quest. This is a troll general. According to my sources at the Maple Tree, he can hit me for approximately 98% of my health, and we definitely don't have enough PP to deal with him head on, so we're gonna have to just find the safe spot live.
Okay, I think I got that first general stuck in the corner. Come here, little guy, come here. Oh my god, I don't have prayers up. Why do I not have prayers up? Oh, fucking Christ, Jesus Christ, why did I do that? Oh my fucking god.
And although I almost lost everything to a safe spot for the 2nd time in a row, we're now officially safe. We just have to free the child, get out, and we get our ability to craft law runes. And that's it. Mental block defeated. We can just go and wrap this up. We got everything we need. We got the food, we got the combat stats, we got the 43 prayer, we got the prayer potion. Oh my god, I forgot about the prayer potions. Oh, fuck. So I'm making this section as fast as physically possible because I forgot about prayer pots while editing as much as I forgot about them in-game. And oh my god, please just let me play the game again, please. So like I said, prayer is a resource that we have 2 minutes of, which isn't a long time, which is where the Jesus juice comes in. You drink this and you feel more connected to God by some amount. Don't ask for exact numbers, I have no clue. But to make them, you need 38 herb lore, which I know sounds like a small number based on my other stats, but I promise you it is not. To train herb lore, you need to get the herbs that are in your level range, then use those herbs and another ingredient to get a potion, which gives between 50 and 90 XP. My original plan was to go down to these Chaos Druids, who in 20 minutes I can farm roughly 22-ish herbs out of, half of which tend to be usable, which brings me down to 11. So we craft at, we'll say 70 XP each to be generous for 770 XP per inventory. Add in the walk-in time, the walk-out time, and the couple minutes that it takes to get the secondary ingredients and craft the potions, and we're looking at about 1500 XP per hour. To get to 38, that means roughly 15 hours of farming. So I think 15 hours to get to level 38, a ridiculous price, at which point I start flailing wildly. Chad said that farming herbs might help, so I started farming, which meant that I needed seeds, and the only real way of getting seeds is by stealing, so I needed to train thieving, which I decided to do with quests for some reason. And just to be clear, we've now gone from just grind up the herbs to I need to do quests to train thieving, to train farming so that I can steal seeds until I get herb seeds so that I can grow the herbs myself. I'd just like to make it clear, I don't associate with the guy in this footage. Now, there were some easier ways of getting herb lore XP. As I was flailing, Jagex introduced this thing that lets you see what quests give XP rewards for a certain skill. So I did every single herb lore quest that I could. Edgar's Ruse, Recruitment Drive, the aforementioned Dig Site, Shades of Morton. I even tried doing Zogre Flesh Eaters, but I couldn't get this coffin to open for some
reason. I don't know. I couldn't figure it out.
So these quests, combined with lamps from the achievement diaries in Varrock, Lumbridge, and Arduine, gave me 24,500 XP over the course of around 20 hours. Amazing time save on my part, by the way. Which means there's only 6k XP left, 4 hours on the druids. So at this point, we just go back down to the Taverley dungeon.
Again, I just want to make it really clear, I do not associate with this guy. But after more stealing, more farming, more stealing, and one really cool hat from a clue scroll, eventually we're able to flail our way up to 38 Herblore and make 8 prayer potions. Not a great stash, but more than enough to get through our first boss. Speaking of which, it's time to spin the boss fight wheel. Let's see which boss we're gonna fight. It's Scurrius, sorry. The other two take grinding, and the prayer pot fiasco kind of tuckered me out a little bit. Scurrius is a rat boss, designed to be an introduction to the world of bossing, according to Jed. Also, you might remember me saying that I have basically zero info about bosses. Turns out, everything that I needed to know is right here. They even pull up the map to show you where it is. So now, all that's left to do is prep the inventory.
First up, Chronicle stays in the top left. I've kept it there since I bought it, that's where my muscle memory is. Now, I know that Scurrius has no elemental weakness because of a spell called Monster Identify, which I'm just not getting into right now. But this means we can just use our staff combined with our highest level air spell, Air Blast, and then the only runes that we have to carry in are death runes. Now, I don't have a lot of death runes, even just these ones took me a while to farm for, so hopefully this is a low attempt experience. Then we have 3 prayer potions along the top and fill the rest with swordfish. I'm not bringing too many pots because I figured I could just play a bit more aggressively with the prayer flicks to save on points and then just eat my mistakes away like real life. Also, when I told Jad that I was going to walk in wearing my nudist edition of the Graceful set, he had me go and get some priest robes, which give me a +11 to prayer. A very significant change that does many things, I'm sure. And there is my full inventory setup. With that, there's nothing left to do. It's time to climb into the pit and just pray to God that I don't freeze again. During this fight, Scurrius cycles between 2 different states. In the first, he repeatedly spins at you, which can be blocked by melee prayer. This act of defiance makes him throw a tantrum every once in a while though, which drops tiles from the meticulously maintained ceiling. These go through prayer and do up to like 15 damage, which is a pretty significant amount compared to his attacks.
So this state ends up being about trying to throw in as much attacking and prayer flicking as possible while avoiding getting crushed harder than the alien.
Once he do enough damage, he eventually moves into his second state, garbage eating technique, where he predictably starts eating a bunch of garbage to try to make his belly get all big and round and full, while the 2 baby rats that are on his back try to hit you with their orbs. One does projectile damage, the other does magic, and they're pretty easy to block with prayers if you're paying attention. That is a very big if though.
Where the rats?
These 5 little bastards all hit through prayer, meaning that we need to get rid of them as fast as physically possible so they can't be cheesed to meet our health bar. Because the worst thing that can happen is you don't focus them enough before the giant rat starts making all the rules again. And then before you know it, you're drowning in rats. That was close, but as you get more efficient at dealing with the rats and maintaining aggression, you'll eventually deal enough damage to start phase 2 of the fight, which as long as you're prepared, shouldn't be too much of an issue.
Wait, what? Was it phase 2?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna die.
Can't you see I'm blazing? Still my heart is blazing. If the words kill me, I don't need a new weapon. Soon you will know. We already know the smell of the game.
So although I was somewhat caught off guard by the existence of a second phase, luckily it was a lot easier than the first. And with all the baby rats getting stuck on Scurrius' body for some reason, I was able to secure my first boss kill and finish up the first leg of this journey. Which means that I am done for this episode. As for what's next, more bosses, more misplays, and hopefully my first easy tier boss that'll give me my first item that I need to kill Jad. Not you, the boss one. Speaking of which, thank you again to Sir Rando and Jad for helping me with the information for this run. I probably won't be using them for information moving forward, and they will be dearly missed as sources. So, goodbye for now. I'll see you all next time, and until then, thanks for watching. Bye! Bye! Bye-bye! Bye! See you later, bye! Bye! See ya, bye!